Alright, so this is the first ever where we've actually been given permission to post an eBay store review, so very excited, and I hope that you guys find this helpful. This is also the same video that I'm going to be sending this user for their store review, along with a page full of notes that I'll be sending them as well. I've got here beside me, so if you're interested in an eBay store review or a Poshmark closet review, this is kind of what the process looks like, in addition to another document, again, with some notes on it. So we do send out a questionnaire before the store review and ask a couple of questions just so we have a good understanding of what we're really evaluating. So we have to have our links into us of your store or of your profile, and then also just a couple questions. Store, and then do you sell on other platforms? That's important, and we'll talk about that why here in a moment. But today we're reviewing Faya Fig Tree 4633. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. First of all, upon first impression, I really like the look of your logo. I think that's really cool. You have a very clean appearance to your store or to your user profile. So I went to see all items, and once you go to that, I always go to newly listed. I'll go ahead and refresh because this has been setting, but I find that it's best to sort by newly listed versus what eBay defaults to, which is best match. That way we are reviewing the most recent listings and not looking at some of your older listings. I just find that that's fair. So upon first glance, I can tell that you don't have an eBay store. You're just using a regular profile, which is fine, but I think it's actually going to be more financially beneficial to you to actually get a store, and here's why. And by the way, if I'm wrong, you can send me an email and let me know, but just looking at it, I'm not seeing a store, I'm seeing just a user profile, which again is fine. You can totally use that, but I think you're going to save actually a lot of money by actually getting an eBay store. So the store subscriptions are broken down like this. You've got your starter, your basic, your premium, your anchor store, and your enterprise store. I'm not going to dive super deep into all of those, but right now, as just a regular eBay profile, you get 250 items per month to list for free. After that, you'll start paying a 35-cent insertion fee per listing. Now, what's important to remember about this is you have more than 250 items. However many you list, it will also count as a listing the following month because listings expire every 30 days. So looking at your items, you've got 537 available, and you are going to be paying, this is how I calculate it. By the way, we don't do this on every store review. I just happen to notice this in your that it wasn't a store, and I thought I would let you know that you'd probably be saving money by actually getting a store. So you get 250 free per month with the regular profile here, and then after that you pay 0.35 for your insertion fee. So you've got 537. So 537 listings. Again, if you did nothing else, if you listed nothing else next month, you would be billed for 537 listings. Like essentially it would count that as your listings, just so you know, because they renew every month. So with that in mind, if you listed nothing else, you're going to take away your 250 free listings. That's going to leave you with 287 listings times your 0.35 per your additional listings. So you're going to be paying roughly, just for insertion fees, meaning just to list the items, $145. Let me actually write that down real quick so I can reference it later. 145. And if you were to instead you could go to the starter store. Let's just look at that if you did the starter store. If you did, sorry, I keep jumping around the screen here. You've got 537 active listings. 537 minus 250 for just the starter store, which again is the same free amount for just a regular user profile. You're looking at paying for 287 per month times your now 30-cent insertion fee. So you're already going to be saving money by getting a starter store, plus you have to add your $4.95 per month. That's with your annual subscription. I'm not sure how much it is. It's just a little bit more than that, but essentially you're already saving about $10 just by having the starter store. Now if you go to your basic store, you've got 537, but here you actually have 1,000 per month that are free, fixed price insertion fee for any additional listings. So you get 1,000 a month for free, and then it's 25 cents after that. Now since you only have 537, obviously that's a wash, so you'd pay $0 by having this store subscription other than your $21.95. So just that alone, without any of the additional discounts that you get, which are down below here, and I do recommend that you look at, you're actually going to be saving about $80 a month by getting the basic store. So something to look into. In addition to that, as you can see, once you do go above that, you're going to be paying 25 cents, but not until you get over 1,000 listings. You'll also have lower final value fees. You'll get the TerraPeak Sales Insights tool, and then every quarter you're going to get $25 of free shipping supplies per quarter. So really all around, there's no reason you shouldn't get this, because it's going to save you money and you're going to get a ton more bang for your buck. So again, that's just your listing fees alone that you would save that money. In addition to that, you'll probably save more on your final value fee. So something to think about. You absolutely don't have to, but it does look a little bit different, and you'll have a bit more of a store look versus this user profile. Once again, the user profile is totally fine, but I thought that I would share that with you. And you can find information about that by going to these links here. If you want to pause the screen and type them into your desktop, you can. This is where I found that information. So go ahead and click out of those. So just looking at your overall store appearance, very clean, very consistent. I really like, again, your logo. You do have this that populated for you on your like kind of about me little blurb section. I do think that this is an opportunity for you to put more information about yourself. So you could say something here like things like, I'm a fast shipper, I sell gently used pre-owned clothing. You could tell a little bit more about yourself just to give buyers some confidence in who you are. And again, you don't have to, but it's just an opportunity to put something there in case they're visiting your profile. Beyond that, going to your newly listed items, just scrolling down, we'll start with your pictures. I love your pictures. I am very, very impressed by your pictures. They're very bright. I think you might be by a window or you just have some very bright lights, but it looks like natural lighting to me. So kudos to you. It's very consistent. I mean, these are all around just really, really great photos. When I go into your actual listings, you include a lot of details. And yeah, they just look really good. So you're including close-ups of the zipper. You've got your brand label. You're showing the side slits. I mean, just really, really outstanding photos. I also noticed that you include the material tag in a lot of yours, which is really good. That's really helpful for buyers. Like, you're including a ton of details. I can really appreciate that. So all around your photos, like, I honestly wouldn't change a thing about your photos. They are really nice. I think your photos actually look better than my photos. So I'm not sure if you're using a background editor or you just have really good natural lighting, but they look really good, and I wouldn't change anything there. Again, they're very consistent throughout your profile / store. I went back to like your oldest listings, and I did see a little bit different of a background. You had a bit of foliage or some like details here, and I can tell that you've now switched to just a clean plain white background, which I do recommend, eBay recommends, Poshmark recommends, pretty much everybody recommends that so that you show up in Google search. So I am happy to see that you've switched to just a clean and clear plain background, and it looks phenomenal. Moving on to your titles, I can tell just by looking at this that you are not using all the characters available to you. Your titles are very short. So you've got Talbot's summer dress with belt size 14, women's Maurice Francois Gerbaude pants. I will say, this is just my opinion, but when I'm looking at a store, I like to see a consistent structure to titles. The way we do it is brand, gender, what the item is, size, and then after that, any keywords. You can, again, do whatever you want. That's just what I recommend, but highly, highly recommend using all the characters available to you. You should have 80 characters. This is probably about half of what a title should be. So you could put things like Talbot's women's summer dress with belt, size 14, sleeveless, I think that's floral print, red. You could put just a ton more keywords, and every character that you have is an opportunity for you to bring buyers to your store. Every additional keyword that you're using might bring another buyer to your store. So that's why it's really important to go ahead and fill up your 80 characters. This one right here, this is a good title. You filled up pretty much all of the characters. It's these other ones that you're listing. I don't know if you're rushing or if you're just not aware, but I would recommend going ahead and filling that up. This one's really good as well. But you just have so many more opportunities to bring the right buyer that you're not using, and I think that'll make a big difference in your sales. So beyond titles, in addition to your titles, I did notice that you're kind of capitalizing some words and then you're not capitalizing other words. I would recommend capitalizing the first letter of every word to actually make it a title. It just looks very clean, kind of like you did here, but then you can see here you've got some lowercase words. It's just recommended by eBay to do the first letter of every word capitalized because it is a title. So I would go back and correct those if you haven't already. It just gives, again, a more consistent look and it looks professional. Moving on from the titles, I went to look at your listing details. There were a couple I pulled up here. We'll pull up this Talbot's one. Let's pull up a men's item. How about this mizzen and main? So down in description, I do really like your description. You've got a really good description. You talk about the condition, you talk about measurements, you talk about how you're taking the measurements, you give the measurements. It's very cut and dry, to the point, and kept short and sweet, which I really like. So I don't think your description is an issue. I think you're doing the right thing there. The thing I am seeing is that you have filled in quite a few item specifics, but not necessarily as many as you probably should be filling out. When it comes to eBay listings, you want to use those drop downs and fill out as many as you possibly can that are true. The thing you want to be careful of is not selecting something that isn't part of the drop down. And you want to make sure to try and not type your own stuff in. If you're finding that you're having to do that, it's probably best to just leave that blank. But if you can select something, you totally should. For instance, right here, I'm seeing you're missing material. That's pretty important for the buyer to know. And when buyers use drop downs, they do filter the material. Let's see, do you have... Yep, so you've got it here in your pictures. You just need to, in addition, put that into your drop down. So I would at least make sure you've got the material filled out, the pattern, things like that. Really want to fill out as much as you possibly can. You've got a really good start though. I mean, you're filling out quite a bit. You just need to go back and add some drop downs. Look at the mizzen and main here. Okay, so we've got our mizzen and main. And again, great photos. I like your close-ups. You're doing a great job with the men's items as well. Let's see how your drop downs look. So this one has a lot less drop downs than your Talbot's dress. I don't know if that's because you're not as familiar with the details in a men's listing, or if this was just particular one was tripping you up. Again, great job with the description. Drop downs could use some work. Again, we're missing material. That's pretty important. I saw on this one you had a photo of the material tag as well, but we just don't have it in the drop down. So I would go back and fill that out. I also noticed that here where it says blue and gray, I can tell that you typed that. eBay does not, unless things have changed, but I don't think that they have. They don't allow like you to multi-select, so I believe that you type that in instead of using a drop down. What I like to do for color, if it is multiple colors, I just take whatever the majority color is. So in this case, it would be blue. Or if it's something with like a bunch of colors and it's like super bright, I'll select multicolor, which is a drop down. But in general, I just pick the overall color. Again, the reason you don't want to do that is because buyers search by drop down. So if you're typing in your own thing, they're never going to find it if they're searching by the drop down. So I would go back, fill out some more of those drop downs in your listings, just maybe set a schedule to go back as you can and edit some of them, and then do your best in the future to only use the drop down options that are available to you through eBay. Try not to type in your own if you can help it. But overall, pretty good listing. You just need to add some details in your title and in your drop downs. All right, let's look at the quality of your items. So I went through the ones that you most recently listed. This is, to be honest, all stuff pretty much that I would pick up. So I think you're picking up the right items. There are a couple that I would probably not have gotten myself just based on a sell-through rate. But in general, I think you're doing a really great job. And this is again, right on par with the stuff that you should be picking up. I see a lot of good factors here. I think if you just add some details into your listing, you would be selling a ton more because you do have good items. Your sell-through rate, just as a whole, let's actually check that real quick. So you've got 537 active listings. I'll just tell you how I calculate this. So I'm going to go to sold. So you've got 211 sold listings. We're going to divide that by 3 because that shows 90 days. So we're going to get a month's worth. And again, I realize everybody calculates this differently, but this is how we calculate it. So 211 divided by 3, that is 70.33 divided by how many items you have in your store, which was 537. So you've got about a 13.1% sell-through rate, which is actually really high for a clothing reseller, and you're actually doing really good. Clothing resellers fall at about 10%. The fact that you're at 13% is really, really good, actually. I know you were concerned with how many you were selling per day, but you're doing really well. And as your store continues to build up and grow, you're going to see more sales. But your sell-through rate's really good, which tells me you're picking up the right kind of items. In addition to that, you also said that you sell on Poshmark. Let me check our notes here. Yes, you also sell on Poshmark. So with that in mind, you probably also have stuff selling on Poshmark, which would actually increase the sell-through rate. So you're actually, you're doing really good. You're doing really good for being a newer seller. So don't beat yourself up over that. You're doing a fantastic job. So that was your sell-through rate. I did notice overall you just have a really good sell-through rate. And even though some of your titles are a little short even in your sold listings, they're still selling. So if you have a good item, like here's a J. Jill Love Linen, even though you didn't have a full-on title, probably didn't have all your drop downs there, you're still selling stuff. So, if you have the right things, they're going to sell. So just keep that in mind. But if you want to clean up your listings a little bit, expand on your titles, add in some more drop downs, I do think that you will see more sales. But overall, as a whole, your sell-through rate is really, really good. I did take a look at your pricing. Let's go back to the available listings here. Just looking at your most recent stuff, I'd say that you're priced pretty fairly. I'd have to do like an exact comp to tell if they're priced exactly what I would price them at, but I'd say you're priced pretty fairly, if not slightly high on a few items, but overall nothing out of the ordinary. And I think if you continue listing this way, you'll be able to priced the same way that you are. Again, you're priced pretty fairly, maybe slightly high on a couple items. I know you mentioned in that questionnaire that you didn't feel too confident in pricing your items. I was wondering if you had listened to that live Q&A we did that was titled pricing strategies. If you go back and listen to that, especially the pricing strategies part, we go into detail about how we check comps and how we price items according to those comps, and I think it'll be really helpful to you if you haven't watched that yet. But if you have already watched that and you're just struggling with knowing what to price your items at, a lot of that is just trial and error, and a lot of it comes with keep practicing and you are going to get there. So to check listing consistency, we check by the newly listed. We can see you listed some on the 13th, which was today, and then also some on the 12th, and then scrolling down, 11th, the 10th, and then we drop to the 6th. So it looks like a good 4 days of no listing. 5, the 3rd. After May, it jumps to April. So it looks like you are listing frequently, but not consistently. I would like to see if you could get to the point where you could just list whenever you had time, essentially, but then hold back some of those drafts, some of those completed drafts, schedule them or set them active on the days you know that you can't list, and get something going active every single day. The more consistent that you can be with eBay, the more consistent your sales are going to be. And I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive, holding back your listings, but eBay wants to see consistency in order to feed you consistent sales. So if I were you, I would figure out how much in a week that you can list and then divide that by 7. You mentioned to me that you wanted to list 5 a day, 25 per week. That tells me that you want to work 5 out of 7 days out of the week, which is totally fine. I would just divide that by 7. That ends up being 3 to 4 a day, and then just set 3 to 4 active every day instead of 5 active for 5 days a week. I hope that makes sense. But it looks like you're listing, again, pretty frequently, and it looks like you're just setting active whatever you do that day. But if you can, and if you can help it, find a way to kind of hold back so that you can get something up every single day. The other thing I wanted to say was, I went back to your oldest listing. Let's go to the very last one here. You listed, from what I can tell at least, your first item in December is when you started, and then you started again in February. So you're pretty new to this. You only have a few months in, and you're doing really, really good, first of all. So I would keep up with what you're doing, and you're going to see those consistent results. Again, with listing consistency, see if you can spread that out a little bit, but overall you're doing a pretty good job. Let's take a look at your feedback here. I did notice you had 100% feedback, so congratulations on that. I have like 99.99999 something, I think, positive feedback, so we're not even at 100% positive feedback, so kudos to you. You're a top rated seller. That's awesome. And you have some really nice comments. One consistent thing I saw was fast shipping. There are quite a few comments here that talk about fast shipping. And so I would just continue to ship fast. I know that sounds so simple, but to just really lean into that, and your positive feedback will continue. I always say to pick one thing that you're really good at and just lean into that. If that's fast shipping for you, lean into that so that you can continue to have buyers really impress that will naturally want to leave you feedback. So really great job with your feedback. I don't see anything, at least recently, that was bad. And then lastly, just some takeaways. Again, going back to, you have a profile, you could be having a store, you're going to see a lot of savings that way, and you're going to get that free quarterly eBay supplies coupon by doing that. So unless my computer's acting up and I'm completely reading this wrong, I think you have a profile and not an eBay store subscription. Would highly recommend doing that. You're also, if you get the eBay store subscription, you'll see more of like the like a store interface. You'll have different actions to like do multiple things at once. You're just going to have access to more than you would as a regular user on eBay. And I think that'll be beneficial and help you to be a lot more efficient in your listings as well. As I said, you have a really great sell-through rate. I know you were concerned about the amount that you're selling per day, but some of that just comes with time. You know, if you're picking stuff up that has a 100% sell-through rate within 90 days, then the items you're picking up probably aren't going to sell for about 3 months. So you're kind of like starting the snowball. You just want to continue rolling that snowball so that eventually it's going to be so big you're going to have consistent sales every single day. But overall, again, we did the math on your sell-through rate. It's really, really good. The proof is in the pudding. The numbers are there. You just need to keep doing what you're doing. Overall, very, very good foundation. You have a quality listing so far. You just need to add a few things. Add stuff to your title, go back into those drop downs and just add those details. And then again, moving forward, make sure that if you can help it, you're not typing in your own information, that you're selecting what eBay provides to you. And I think if you do all of those things that I just said, I think you're going to see a tremendous difference in your sales, as well as just continuing to push forward and do what you're doing. I hope that this was helpful, and I will be sending this to you like right now. I hope this was also helpful to everybody that was watching, and if you guys would like a store review or a closet review, the link will be down below in the description. Thanks for watching.